Hey, Alan here from Damn Good Reviews. Today we have the software program called HDR Instant, and this program is actually meant for making HDR photos from a video clip, and it's really they promote it for using with drone footage, but ultimately you can use it with any video footage. So if your drone or whatever you're shooting with does not take HDR photos or you can't bracket, this will combine photos from that footage and make it and emulate an HDR image. There's a couple different versions of this. This right here, we're demoing the Pro version, but you can go ahead and get a free demo of HDR Instant and check it out for yourself. So I've been using it for about 2 weeks now. I really do like it. My drone does not take great photos, but the video is really over the top. And doing that, I can capture at least really good video and then convert it a little bit later into some HDR images. So this is just a video clip. What you do is actually you load up your video clip, and you have some options here, histogram, and then you have some things you can select your final frames. That's what the final frame will look like actually on the screen. So this is going to be what the final image will be, but then it's going to convert it, of course. And then if you want, you can actually have it search for sharper frames if you want to look for some ones that are more detailed, if there was movement, anything anything like that. So I like this frame right here. Let's go to next. And now under the create HDR, so we have image stacking here, and you can always hover over the question mark and to learn a bit more. But you can select your before and after frames from your chosen frame, and that's going to be how many images are actually going to stack and create this HDR image. And then you have your anti-ghosting feature, so if there is a lot of movement, you can always mess with this. There's also custom adjustments, which is nice. And then you have your movement estimations, and we just leave it on auto. That's what I've tested with. Align images, a lot of the same features that you would see in a standard HDR program. So it's there, but it's also really easy to use, straightforward. They have the information next to it. And then, of course, like a lot of programs, if you just play around with the settings a little bit, you can really learn a lot about the program. So you have your different quality, fast, good, optimal. So I'm just going to render on good right now. So I like this frame. We'll say high anti-ghosting. So compute. Now, one of the big issues that I've seen with this software, HDR Instant, is the processing time. So right now, it's processing those different images. So it's 17 images. So it's 8 on both sides of the image, and then that one in between, which is going to create that final one. So if you do a couple, or if you do less before and after, it's going to go a little bit faster. But depending on your processor speed, this is a little lagging and time consuming. And after bringing this up, after the first couple tests, HDR Instant, the software developers have mentioned that a forthcoming update will hopefully enhance the algorithms and make this process faster and definitely work better, because they know this is a little bit of a drawback. So as this processes, we're just going to go ahead and wait, and then it's going to create our HDR previews, where we can go ahead and select from a variety of different HDR options. So on my desktop, it's actually been running a little on the slower side, but that took about maybe 2 to 2.5 minutes to process that photo. It was about a minute to a minute and a half on my faster laptop. And so it says saving HDR image, so you can save it if you want before you go ahead and edit it, and you can always get back to it. No, I don't need to save it. So you could do that if you want. So it's going to load up the image here, and you see all the different tone mapping and exposure, contrast, highlights, all these different features that you would typically see in an HDR type program. and you also have rotation, some really nice little features. So this, yes, it looks exactly the same, but we haven't processed just yet. And you have your user settings, auto. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to select tone mapping 3. Now this was the other area where, depending on your processor, it could be a little slow. This seems to process relatively fast on this desktop. However, on my laptop, it was not as fast. And these are both PC-based systems. And you can see how it's actually creating what it looks like an HDR image. So some of them process fast, as you can see. And now I clicked on Enhance, and it's kind of just sitting. And this is one of those things, as I mentioned, that the developers are really looking into to enhance that algorithm that puts these files together and make it much faster. They come from a background of a lot of other photo editing and HDR software and really know what they're doing, so it's just going to take some tweaking till they get there. So I'm just going to wait till this processes, and I'm going to show you a couple things on the side. But overall, I really think that HDRInstant is a nice piece of software. It's not very expensive. It'd be nice if it was a little bit faster, but if you're doing drone footage or video footage and your camera that's maybe on board is not that great, this is a nice, nice software option to add to your arsenal and just have that ready to go to be able to pull some really high resolution photos, because we know what happens if you just pull a frame from the video. It doesn't look very good typically, and this is really cleaning that up. So this one is still processing, haven't cut it off just yet. So we're at 60%, and right now I don't have anything else running on the system except for the screen capture. And if you're going to be doing a lot of these, photos from your video, this is going to be really time consuming. That's my only real drawback. But once they do publish an update, I'm really looking forward to trying that and having those faster options in rendering times. So we're at 80%, and just remember this, of course, still relies on your processor speed and graphics card and all that fun stuff too. This system here is a little bit older system. It's a quad core. However, it is running Windows 10, so some things have sped up, some things have slowed down, but it's almost time to upgrade to a new chipset, new system, because waiting for things like this is no fun. And now we're at 90%, almost there. Waiting this long, you better like what it looks like. I don't think you want to be making too many different changes if it's going to take this long to process, going back and forth between them. Hopefully the next step is going to be 100%. So almost there. And again, just looking at the sidebar here, all your different options of how you can enhance the photo. Really good amount of options that you can really control everything and pretty much create that perfect simulated HDR look that you really want to get. Okay, so you see this is the enhanced version, and as you know, sometimes HDR you can really go over the top with some things, but depending on the look that you're going for, it could be exactly that. And this is like a really gritty, grungy type look, but I have a lot of different options where I can go and check out the different tone mapping options. And once it's rendered, it seems to go a lot faster for the most part. And then I can always go in and adjust my exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, so you can really customize everything here. Maybe I want to boost that up. So those photos don't look that great now from what I did to it, but you get the general idea. And then once I'm done, all I gotta do is just go ahead, click export, and then I have that high resolution file that I was able to generate this HDR image. So overall takeaway, I really do like HDR Instant. I think it's a really cool program, relatively inexpensive. There's different levels, so when you check out the demo, see which level is right for you for what you need. Looking forward to a forthcoming update to make things run a little bit faster, and that's about it. But it's really cool if you're flying a drone or have video footage that you want to capture some photos from, or create some HDR style or just photos from those video streams. I think this is a program to check out. So thanks for watching. I'm Alan from Damn Good Reviews. Make sure to like and subscribe right here on YouTube, and we will see you soon.